PSM retired, which aims at spreading soldierly qualities in the society, namely discipline, courage, vigilance, values of life, and patriotism. The year 1991 witnessed the release of the Hindi award-winning movie Prahar, directed by the doyen of Hindi cinema, Sri Nana Patekar. This film dealt with the deep-rooted, unexplored area of a soldier's psyche and depicted a soldier's fierce will to uproot the evil forces thriving in the society, thus changing the arena of the battlefield. Today, Prahar, under the able guidance of Flight Lieutenant Shivali Deshpande, organizes various camps, events, and lectures to make the future of our country better citizens. Not only does the organization facilitate an environment for the positive reinforcement for such values in the society, but also provides guidance to the students to fulfill their dreams of joining the Indian Defence Forces. As of today, the organization has proudly contributed 309 officers to the defence services. Lieutenant General V.G. Kandare, PVSM, AVSM, SM, is an alumnus of Indore Christian College. He joined as a part of the SS 28 course of the Officers Training Academy, Chennai, and served in the Indian Army thereafter for nearly 4 decades. Serving in infantry, he excelled in challenging terrain, sectors, operational roles in Siachen, Jammu and Kashmir, Sikkim, and Northeast region. He was involved in operational tasks in various sectors of Siachen, Jammu and Kashmir, as well as Northeast region. Sir commanded a brigade with an operational role on the northeastern border of India. He served in Kashmir Valley in 2010 and 11 as Deputy GOC of Counter-Insurgency Force in North Kashmir. He served as an instructor on weapons at Infantry School Mau and as Directing Staff at Defence Services Staff College, Wellington. He was awarded the Sena Medal for gallantry in Kashmir against terrorists. He retired from active military service on 31st of January 2018 and is the military advisor to the National Security Council Secretariat of India at the secretary level. In his final active military appointment, he served as both the Director General of the Defence Intelligence Agency and the Deputy Chief of Integrated Defence Staff for Intelligence from November 2015 to January 2018. In Defence Intelligence Agency, he utilized the technical intelligence and is an expert on conventional operations, sub-conventional counter-terrorism operations, information warfare, conflict prevention, and peacekeeping operations. He has first-hand experience in strategic, operational, and tactical intelligence generation, fusion, analysis, and dissemination. Recognizing his dedication and commitment to the nation in Kashmir, he was awarded the Ati Vishisht Seva Medal and the Chief of Army Staff Commendation Card. For his exemplary performance as Director General, Defence Intelligence Agency, he was conferred with Param Vishisht Seva Medal. His knowledge on use of space as force multiplier asset is noteworthy. He is a keen analyst of international world order, comprehensive national security, defence, and governance sector. He has been involved in apex-level policy proposal analysis and structuring. We are honoured to have you with us here, sir. I request Mrs. Shama Deshpande, ma'am, President, Prahar Samaj Jagrati Sanstha, to kindly felicitate sir with a bouquet and a book. And a memento. We at Prahar have been keen on having officers to guide and interact with our students. It was a matter of pride for our organization to host General V.P. Malik, PVSM, AVSM retired, in live webinar on the occasion of Kargil Vijay Divas on 26 July 2021. It was a historic event when Lieutenant General K.T. Pannai, PVSM, UISM, YSM, GOC&C Northern Command visited the organization Prahar from 29th to 31st January 2012. Our organization was visited by Padma Shri Lieutenant General M.A. Zaki, PVSM, AVSM, and Veer Chakra, retired. Late Lieutenant General Ravindra Thorge, PVSM, AVSM, SM, VSM, retired. Lieutenant General D.B. Shekatkar, PVSM, AVSM, VSM, retired. Major General Shishir Mahajan, retired. Major General A.S. Dev, retired. Major General Chandan Chatterjee, retired. Major General C.P. Sangra, YSM. Major General Shashikant Pitre, Major General A.P. Baum, SM, retired. Major General Rajesh Kundra, SM, GOC, UM and G Sub-Area. Lieutenant General B.T. Pandit, PVSM, Veer Chakra. Colonel V.N. Thapar, retired. Air Marshal P.V. Athavale, PVSM, AVSM, VSM, retired. Air Vice Marshal Satikar, AVSM, retired. Today, we are honored to have Lieutenant General V.G. Kandare, PVSM, AVSM, SM with us. I request sir to kindly interact and guide our students.
Sir, with your permission, my due respect to my seniors who are sitting here and on the dais as well, and Shivali. In fact, she is responsible for dragging me here, and I realize it's a proud privilege to be standing in front of you and talking to you. Most important for the younger generation is to have a lot of self-confidence, a lot of faith in yourselves. When I look at you, I look at the future of India. Maybe you really do not know, amongst you, we would have a number of people joining the armed forces, we would have a number of youngsters rising in Army, Navy and Air Force. Who knows, there might be a couple of chiefs who may be sitting here, we do not know. So the only thing that you have to do is to have tremendous amount of self-confidence you and a clear vision that you have to rise high for the sake of your family, for the sake of the nation. These are the two things which must motivate you to do well in life. A lot of people during the course of my last tenure as the military advisor in National Security Council Secretariat used to ask me, "Sir, what is our national will? Why have we not written down our national vision? And why don't we have a national strategy written down?" And my answer used to be from common sense, and that common sense basically comes to you from your parents. And my common sense answer used to be, you don't need adjectives and adverbs to describe what your national vision should be. Your national vision is only one simple thing, that my country shall be a winner always. When you look around and you find Jawans from the Indian Armed Forces, when they greet each other, when they greet their seniors, they say Jai Hind. We also as officers say Jai Hind. What is Jai Hind? Hind will always have its Jai. That is, India will always win. Whether it is in Olympics, whether it is in war. And here I want to tell you that the new wars that are being waged on us are something which are invisible. Today's environment is not as clear that we can have only kinetic wars, that is bullets firing, grenades firing, or artillery firing at us, or we firing at the enemy. Today there is a lot of confusion, ambiguity and lack of clarity. There are attacks which carry on today at various assets of our country through cyber. The second kind of weapon which is used against us is through social media. rumors which are spread. These are also weapons which are used against us by the enemy, and there is a very clear deniability that we did not do this. This must be your own society which is doing it. So our enemies want our nation to be divided. And how do they divide us? They want the country to be divided on the basis of region, religion, caste, language, and within the armed forces also divide and keep army separate, navy separate, air force separate. Within the security forces, keep the police forces separate, the armed forces separate. So that is the way wars are being fought today. There may not be a declaration of war, but wars continuously happen. Many few people would realize that the mobile that we carry is actually a weapon. It's a 6 inches weapon which is in our pocket. The number of times rumors are thrown at you, it is only your own strength of conscience, your belief and the faith in the system. And out of the 5 qualities which were listed out, the last one, patriotism. If you are a patriot, you will never believe a rumor. But that is exactly what happens. When you see messages floating around and you also join in that race, like it happens in Kaun Banega Crorepati, fastest finger, I must send it ahead. So you send it ahead, not realizing how much of damage you've done. The way to fight new wars cannot be the same method that we have been fighting since 47, 62, 65, 71 or 99. New wars will have to be fought in a new manner. Methodology has to be different. But the core issue remains same, that is patriotism. Whether it is for kinetic or non-kinetic war, the core issue is still the same, pride in the nation and patriotism. If I am a patriot, I will never forward a negative message to somebody else unless I have checked it out. You all would have heard or read about fake news. Fake news is the handiwork of anti-national elements, whether they are sitting on the other side of the border or whether they are sitting on this side of the border. Every time a fake news is propagated, it is with a definite intention of weakening India. And if we join in that, we are as much anti-national as the other guy. So that is one advice I want to give you. You must be latest in technology, but you should not become such a slave that you lose your common sense or the sanskars which your parents have taught you. Your parents would never have taught you to criticize somebody without knowing. So that is something which I want to bring you back to basics from where you all started, from where I started, that is our family values. Within the family, we may have differences, same is the case. Within the nation, we may have differences. But all of those can be resolved. If I can't praise somebody, I should not criticize somebody. These are certain principles which, if we follow, we will be good citizens. Some of you will join the armed forces. Some may not join, some may not be able to join. But that doesn't mean that those who do not join are any less patriotic than those who wear uniform. Definitely, those who wear uniform are very proud of the uniform because everyone does not get a chance to wear the uniform. So you are definitely proud. But the country needs its citizens who are as disciplined and as patriotic as those who wear uniform. So that is something which you all must remember. Now, to give you a few examples of how things happen in the armed forces, I have been quite fortunate to have experienced life situations in my entire career. Very early in my career, I was posted in North Sikkim, East Sikkim. In those days, North Sikkim had very less deployment and East Sikkim was a place from where we used to go on long range patrols. So recently in 2017 June, what you heard as a Doklam crisis, I was posted there as a second lieutenant, and during those days we built defenses there. Just for your knowledge, it is not Doklam, it is actually Dolam. But the way our media spoils names, they spoiled the name and made it Doklam, so I am also saying Doklam because otherwise you will not correlate. Then subsequently I got a chance to serve on the glacier, and those were the days when the initial struggle on the glacier was going on. India had occupied Siachen Glacier in 1984. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, then Major Kulkarni or Captain Kulkarni was the first one to land up there. And subsequently we had battalions changing over, and my battalion was also one of them. And we did fight action against the Pakistanis, because one thing which you all must always remember, Pakistanis never give up. So even if at any stage you start hearing news that Pakistan doesn't want war, please take my advice, don't believe them ever. Same is the case with the Chinese. They may tell you something, but they will mean something else. So you have to be very clear in your mind that India has two very clearly identified enemies, and one is China and the other is Pakistan. There will be other enemies also as the situation unfolds, but at this stage we will not be able to name them. During my career, I was again fortunate to be a part of the Operation Vijay in 1999, and these were very challenging times, interesting times. During the glacier tenure, Siachen Glacier tenure, and during my commanding officer's tenure, there have been many occasions when we have seen death right in front of us. But believe me, after you've seen death once or twice, third time you are not scared. Because you put your entire faith and belief system in God, and you say, when He is going to call me, I will go. But as of now, I don't have to worry too much. And I must continue to do my dharma, and that dharma is to do my karma. If all of us are able to achieve the results the way the country expects us to do, not only in the case of war, but even in the case of economic progress, the country will do much better. When we keep hearing that our country has achieved this much, our country has achieved that much, we must also compare with what our enemies are achieving. Because our comparison is not with ourselves, our comparison is with what China is achieving. If China goes 2 miles in a particular time frame and I go only 500 meters, I am fighting a losing battle. So we all, wherever we are, in whichever field we are, we have to remember that the country's progress is dependent on what we do and what we do not do. Every time there is a gap that increases between us and China, we are weakening our country. Whether it is in terms of technology, whether it is in terms of science, whether it is economy, whether it is education, research and development, whatever it is. We have to see how fast China is developing, and we cannot be left lagging behind. Remember, in war, and which also means the kind of wars that are happening today, including economic war, there is only one winner. There cannot be two winners. There is no runners-up in war. It is either a winner or somebody who has lost. So that is where your training currently, which is being ensured and being given by such selfless people who are your instructors, there is only one goal: to be a winner. You cannot be a runners-up. Runners-up can happen in Olympics, runners-up can happen in athletics. War is much serious business. And in war, either you have won, and if you have lost, remember, the person who has lost has no self-prestige thereafter. You are always treated thereafter as a slave. Our country has seen it for many, many years, many decades, many centuries. Never again should we put our country in a situation where somebody else comes and rules us. if we reach that stage again, it is only we who have to blame ourselves. So that is the kind of message that I want to give you, and I want to tell you that there is a lot of good work which is happening all over. During my days as Defense Director General of Defense Intelligence Agency, I used to do a lot of intelligence gathering, which involved a lot of cyber activities, a lot of intercepting of communication messages from Pakistan and China. We get to hear, we get to listen, we get to see what our enemies are thinking of. They're very serious. So as a person in charge of intelligence, I can with a lot of confidence tell you that India lives in troubled neighborhood. India can remain strong and powerful if we make it strong and powerful. Otherwise, the troubled neighborhood will pull us down and we will go down the drain, whether it is economically or in terms of our sovereignty. Thereafter, when I moved to the position of military advisor, you all would have heard of Mr. Ajit Doval. Anybody who's not heard of him? Okay, I take it everyone has heard. More of it you may have heard because of Uri film. But believe me, what is shown in Uri film is just about 10% of what actually happened. 90% more could not have been shown. A lot of theatrics are shown in the film. It looks nice, but it doesn't happen like that. The people in the armed forces are not as glamorous as shown. People in the armed forces put their head down, get serious with their work, and they go about their business as if it is a common thing which is happening. Aaj bhi ye hoga, kya farak padta hai? People have gone, given the best of victories, and not even uttered a word and come back and said, "Haan, kar liya, to kya hoga? This is my job, I do it." Very humble, modest people are there in the armed forces. The kind of theatrics that you see is only limited to Bollywood. It doesn't happen anywhere else. In the armed forces, it is very serious business, and you don't go about rejoicing a bit too early, because then there is a lot of suffering thereafter. At the level of the nation, there are many ministries, there are many departments. Everyone has good people and bad people, as it happens in any city, any family. There will be good people and there will be bad people. We have to make a choice. What do I want to be? I want to be a good citizen. I want to be a good person in uniform. I want to be a good Indian. And then you choose your way. And just because everyone is doing it, you don't have to do it. You have to do what your conscience is telling you. And once you join the armed forces or you join any security force, because a lot of people out of you may join other services also, we need excellent people in every department, every ministry and every walk of life. People who have done a lot for society are sitting in front of you. In the front row to my left, you have to emulate them, you have to take motivation from them, and if you are able to even reach 10% of what they have done, you will do your family a lot of pride. What else do you achieve once you join the armed forces? You know, you see a lot of these advertisements, do you have it in you and all, that is fine. People actually do not join because of those advertisements. People join because their mind is clear and their heart is with the nation. At least I did not see any ad, and I don't think Shivali also would have seen. Anirudh also would have not seen this. You are too senior, sir, I will not even look at you. So, if you have to be a good citizen, a good Indian, forget about the advertisements, forget about the Bollywood, forget about everything. It is serious business and it is a continuous struggle for at least 30 to 40 years. The more you struggle in the first few years, say 5 to 10 years, that is what will carry you ahead. I would like to thank your parents for sending you here. I admire the parents who take pride in their children coming and roughing it out here, because gradually our country is getting into air conditioned culture. Classrooms are air conditioned, cars are air conditioned. During one of my trips to Shanti Niketan, I am sure you all know where is Shanti Niketan, and the person who was conducting me around in Shanti Niketan was a fourth generation caretaker at Shanti Niketan, whose family had always been with Rabindranath Tagore. And when he knew that I am an army officer, he asked me, he said, "Sir, how is it that in the country there are only two lots of people who still train outdoors close to nature?" So I said, "Which are these two?" He said, "One is the army and second is Shanti Niketan." Shanti Niketan has classrooms in the open. They sit below trees and they study. Same is the case with the armed forces also. We sit out into the open under the trees, whether it is raining, whether it is snowing, whether it is warm, whether it is hot, immaterial. We have to stay outside and educate ourselves, because when we are operating, you are not operating in air conditioned environment. You are operating during day, night, during rains, during floods, during snowfall, during blizzards, during the avalanches that come up, and those don't happen in air conditioned rooms. So if your fundamentals are as toughly covered as is done in the armed forces, no one can defeat the Indian armed forces. But the day we become soft, chocolate soldiers, then there are many armed forces we know, they will come with full force but not dare to fire at you. You can understand what I am referring to. I won't take long. I want to again thank Shivali, her mother, her uncle, Anirudh is here. And I was just told by Shivali that two of you have been selected for Officers Training Academy, right? I continue to remain your senior from OT. Okay. All the best. It's one of the finest training establishments that, in fact, after I had left active service, I got onto Twitter, and one of the first things I mentioned that Brigadier Kuldeep Chandpuri, who was a Mahavir Chakra winner of Battle of Longewala. So I mentioned in that there were two common things and inspiration for me. One was that he was from OTA, then OTS Madras, now it is OTA Chennai. And the second was that he had commanded 100 Mountain Brigade, which I was fortunate to command. So we all have our own inspirations and leaders. So when you go there, there is a particular museum, visit that, and you will find people like Cyrus Pithawala, Brigadier Cyrus Pithawala, Major Cyrus Pithawala, Ashok Chakra. He was also, in fact, he was my postman, or he is my postman, so to say. So I am sure you are going to benefit a lot by going there. Stay tough, stay focused, have a very clear mind and a very straight spinal cord. You will do well. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. As sir said that I will not take long, I wish you had taken long, because we definitely couldn't take our ears off. Thank you so much for the motivation that you have given to our students, the motivation that you have given to both of us, the words of advice. We will definitely follow it, and I'm sure we are proud that you are our senior. Thank you so much. Now I request Flight Lieutenant Shivali Deshpande to please come here and deliver the vote of thanks.
Mrs. Shama Deshpande, President, Prahar Samachar Prati Sanstha. Our special guest today, Lieutenant General Vinod Khandare, Param Vishishta Seva Medal, Ati Vishishta Seva Medal, Sema Medal. Colonel Sudhir Deshpande, Colonel Anirudh Deshpande, Mrs. Shireen Pal Naik. All my brave Praharis sitting in front of me. Jai Hind, Jai Prahar. In fact, as Sir said, I literally had to drag him to our organization. Few days back, Sir just mentioned that he was in Nagpur, and I expressed my feelings that I'm feeling sorry that I didn't know. Had I known, I would have taken him around our organization very promptly. Sir told me that on 28th I'll be in Nagpur, and I invited him to talk to all of you. Sir, it has been an inspiration. In fact, a motivation not only for me, but I'm very sure for all these children as well. The very fact that, sir, you've been in the forces, you've been in Vijay, and you have been with Mr. Ajit Doval is something that is very, very attractive to all of us. In fact, the moment I told some of my students about you and that you were with Ajit Doval, so the first thing they said was, "Ma'am, please ask sir, how can we join RAW?" Sir, it is always a pleasure to listen from people like you, and very rightly said by Ruchita, we couldn't take our ears off when you were talking. We felt as if you should carry on and on. And of course, listening to forces personnel never bores you. The war stories are always inspirational, and they always give us goosebumps, especially when you hear from the ones who have fought in actions and in wars. Similar stories my father also used to tell the students, and we all used to listen to him with our eyes wide open. So a very important point that you said in your address was about patriotism. I often, whenever I interact with youngsters, sir, I was in fact shocked with the statement when standing during the national anthem being played in the movie theatres just before the movie began and after the movie ended. There were many voices against it in our country, and I was very surprised. And the immediate reaction that came out of my mouth was that if my country people, or rather my youth, if you cannot stand for 52 seconds, how do you expect we as soldiers to stand at the borders, guarding the country day and night with the weapons in our hands? And if we can do it as human beings, why can't you stand for 52 seconds till the time the national anthem plays? Patriotism begins the moment you were born on this earth, on this great country called Bharat. And that is where we learn to respect and love our motherland. In fact, sir, I remember a very beautiful two lines of one of our mega plays, where the voiceover is given by Nana Patekar himself, and the words are, "अपनी फौलाद से हिम्मत को न सोने देना, किसी को नफरत के बीज न बोने देना." अपनी फौलाद से हिम्मत को ना सोने देना, किसी को नफरत की बीज ना बोने देना। तुम्हारे जिस्म के टुकड़े भी अगर हो जाएं, कभी इस देश के टुकड़े ना होने देना, कभी इस देश के टुकड़े ना होने देना। Very rightly said by sir. That do not believe in any rumors that you come across that 6 inches mobile of yours, which is intentionally given to you or sent to you so that you break the very fabric of our country. I wish, sir, you could go on and on, and we could get lessons from you, so that It motivates us to work furthermore with all our energies together, with all our strength together. So we would be more than glad if you continue guiding us and our organization as to how we can move ahead, how we can, in fact, my dream is that branches of Prahar should open in every city of India. Because yes, there is a need to spread soldierly qualities. There is a need that our citizens know how a soldier lives and fights. And it is very necessary to teach the citizens of the country character building and what it means to be in the forces and to wear the uniform and have those stars in your shoulders. I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, sir, for sharing your valuable time, taking time out from your busy schedule, coming here and addressing these children, because I'm sure that they are going to carry great memories. And it is bringing their first experience at hand to meet somebody who's literally being in the action. These memories are going to be etched in your brains throughout, and hold these memories and spread the message given by Sir, so that you also end up into creating more vigilant citizens of this country. Grateful to you, sir, for coming and visiting our organization. And in the end, a big thank you to all of you for being here and listening to Sir. I'm very sure that you people are going to take his memories back. If you have any questions, sir, can I take 10 minutes of yours? If you have any questions, you're please free to ask, sir. If anybody of you wants to ask anything, anybody, the instructors and the teaching staff, anyone. Yes, please.
Jai Hind.
Sir.
So, I want to ask about what should be India's stand when China invades Taiwan, sir?
Give the mic to sir. Sir.
Firstly, remember in the global geopolitics, India has to look after its own interest first. So now, what agreement do we have with Taiwan, and which are the other countries which have agreements with Taiwan? So whenever you are doing this kind of an analysis, so there is always, based on whatever information you have, you must analyze it properly, then come to an assessment, and that assessment is what you have asked me. So the analysis is first that United States and Taiwan have an agreement where United States is supposed to protect Taiwan. There is an act of parliament in United States based on which there is an assurance that United States will protect Taiwan. Where does India fit in? If United States fails, which is most unlikely, only then will we come. But on the contrary, please remember, warfare is done in a manner that a front is started while the main effort is put onto the other front. So if Taiwan starts, we should not be looking at Taiwan, but we should be looking to protect our borders, because it might be a deception where the maritime forces of China go on to Taiwan and our land borders get threatened. So what is our national interest? Whenever China does something elsewhere, we should be extra vigilant towards our land borders and prevent China from taking away our sovereign territory. So does it mean that we will do nothing? No. Militarily, we must focus on our area. Diplomatically, we will stand by Taiwan. So that is how we have to look at a nation. There are many different facets which a country has, a nation has. One is military, one is economic, one is political, one is diplomatic. So within that, diplomatically, obviously, India does not favor any country which is the aggressor, whether it is China, whether it is Pakistan, whichever country it may be. So India has never supported any aggressor country. So diplomatically, we will be very clear on that. Okay. Militarily, our entire focus will be to ensure that entire northern border, starting from Arunachal Pradesh, spreading across Sikkim, the Uttarakhand border, Himachal Pradesh, and Leh, that is Ladakh Union Territory, we will have to protect our own interests. Understood? Okay.
Any other question, please? Yes, please.
Good.
Aditi.
Jayant sir, sir, as ma'am told us, you have been from the intelligence agencies. So apart from IB, no other organization conduct examination to recruit intelligence officers. So what is the process to become
Okay.
an officer in the campus?
Right. There are a number of intelligence agencies in the country. There are two domains of intelligence agency. One is the civilian and one is the military. So in the civilian part, there is the Intelligence Bureau, which is the oldest intelligence agency starting from the Britishers' time. The RNAW, Research and Analysis Wing, that is also a part of the civilian intelligence agency. There is a technical intelligence agency known as the NTRO, National Technical Research Organization. These three are the most prominent civilian agencies. In addition to that, every state also has its own intelligence agency, but I am talking more from the external threat point of view. Coming to the military part, you have in each service its own intelligence directorate. Like in the army, there is a military intelligence directorate. In addition to that, tri-services, there is Defense Intelligence Agency where members of Army, Navy, Air Force, all three are there. So this is broadly how it is. Now the question of how do you join them? Generally, it is not preferred that people join intelligence directly because you will not understand how the system functions. So if it is in the armed forces, you have to join the armed forces and then get selected for the intelligence directorate. Even for the IB, RNAW and for NTRO, generally it is preferred that you join your parent organization, whichever it is. Mostly it is the Indian Police Service, and from there you are taken on deputation, then you are tested, you are tried, and thereafter you may be absorbed in the permanent cadre of IB or RNAW or NTRO. So it is not preferred that people are taken straight into intelligence agency because they stand to lose. They are not in the entire picture of it. So you have to first travel in a bus and then become the driver of the bus. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir Jayant sir, so I would like to ask, India is trying to build a relationship with both Russia and the USA. So how are we dealing it with, because USA and Russia are having a tough time between them?
Whenever there is such a challenge, India is always a winner. Americans want us, Russians want us. What better position do you want? When Americans fight with Iran, Iran wants us, Americans want us. When Israel and Iran are fighting, both of them want us. So how do we balance? That is what is Chanakya Niti. You never look at Western thought to understand how India should behave. We've had the best of strategists, we have had the best of Kutnitigyas. Shri Krishna was the best strategist we have had here till date. He was in the battlefield without a single weapon. He was mentoring Arjun how to fight. That is from where we draw lessons of how to deal with countries without compromising our own interests. In fact, that is my advice to you. Whenever you are looking at some complex issue, look at our ancient culture. You will find the answer there. When we say Sri Ram was Maryada Purushottam, that is how your code of conduct should be as a king, as a soldier. Similarly, when it comes to strategy, where you have to do certain things, you have to say certain things and not do certain things, or possibly deceive somebody, that is where Sri Krishna tells you. So if I tell you that we are doing exactly what Sri Krishna did, when we are dealing with all these complex issues, you will realize that we are quite okay. Right?
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Is that all?
Yes.
Yes.
Jain sir.
Jay.
So my question is, how do we deal with urban Naxals?
Okay. The difference between enemy across and people like urban Naxals is that at our national level we feel that these are our people who are misguided. So we will never classify them as enemies. We say they are the misguided people because finally they are one of us. It's only that the internal security system has not been able to keep them away from the propaganda which has reached them from different areas, that they are the deprived Lord, they are the subjugated Lord, they are the persecuted Lord. So this kind of thought happens. Every country goes through this. And when I am saying every country goes through this, in 1993, I was on a UN mission, United Nations peacekeeping missions to Central America. Central America is the backyard of United States. Even there were urban Naxals. And those were funded by then USSR. And had it not been for, I'm narrating to you 1993-94, and 1989 to 91, USSR had collapsed. So while these urban Naxals in Central America had won, just because USSR collapsed, they lost support, the external support. So when we look at urban Naxals in India, without external support and internal support, they cannot survive. But what does that mean? You have to use a dual approach towards them, that is, you have to isolate and take away people who are supporting them by a civilized manner. And those who are the hardcore should be dealt with as per law. So at no stage should we have a civil war coming up in India, because that will be absolute bad news for our future. So urban Naxals have to be tackled differently. They cannot be tackled the way we tackle Chinese or Pakistanis. Okay?
I think that is it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Your questions were very nice, and it gives me a lot of hope that people are thinking in the right direction. And just one thing which I had forgotten to tell you, what is my connect with Nagpur. As a child, I stayed here at Katol Road. My father was in Post and Telegraphs, so that Paj Bangla area. We were in number 4th Bungalow, and I studied in St. John's School. So that is my connect with Nagpur. And originally we belong to a village which is between Akola and Amravati near Murtizapur. That is called Bapuri. That is on the banks of Pedi River. So that is my connect, and that is how I am here. And maybe because I heard Shivali also saying, and all of you possibly want more interaction, whenever I get a chance, I will be happy to come and interact. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Gratitude, sir. We would like to end the program and the interaction here. I would like to request all of you to kindly stand up for the Prarthana of Prahar. Prahari Sabha. हे प्रभु चैतन्य रूपा, शील हमको दीजिए,
शील हमको दीजिए,
पूर्ण सारे सद्गुणों से,
पूर्ण सारे सद्गुणों से,
शक्ति प्रेरक हम बने,
शक्ति प्रेरक हम बने,
साहसी जीवन रहे और
साहसी जीवन रहे और
राष्ट्र सेवक हम बने,
राष्ट्र सेवक हम बने,
हम प्रहारी युवक सारे,
हम प्रहारी युवक सारे,
वीर व्रतधारी बने,
वीर व्रतधारी बने।
जय हिंद,
जय हिंद,
जय प्रहार,
जय प्रहार।
विश्राम।